Hey everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Closing Report for February 2nd, 2016. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss, with analysis for the upcoming session. What we have here is a completion of our move into the target, and then we've seen a big profit taking or a wave of stops runs to the downside, and we saw a huge pushback today. But before, what we were looking for was after this session printed that afternoon, I mentioned that there was a high odds reversal likely to occur into 1939s. 1939.5 is the midpoint of the key range there, and that solidifies that range. So on this session here, after the market, I mentioned bulls want to defend a pullback into 1846 and as low as 1830, defend that zone for a move into 1939.5. We got the move. So the target has been reached. From there, I have not provided any other real guidance other than failure to hold above the bottom of this range opens up a return back toward 1846. That's what we talked about during the previous closing report in addition to the pre-market report this morning. So right now we saw price go offered right through that zone and failed to hold above that HVN of 1921 quarter. So we've seen a move right into our targets. We've seen expansion through that range into our downside targets, then caught the move back up. It's been a very, very productive first few weeks of the year so far. And now what we're looking for is just to see how this thing materializes. For the most part, the volatility has been has been increased compared to average. So we had 3 months of this, and then we had increased volatility here for the first few weeks of January. After you have a period of volatility like that, the market can tend to go quiet and get range bound here. So right now, it could be very quiet. We'll have to see how this plays out. I mean, the last time we saw this type of thing happen is on this key range here, where we saw a big move down, a bounce back up. It attempted to hold above the midpoint of the range and then failed backward before pushing back up. So there's a lot of different scenarios that can play out here, but there's nothing really no clear areas right now to watch as we head forward. I mean, if prices want to get back headed higher, I mean, they have to reclaim 1900, 1903. Right now, we're below that zone. I believe if you're a bull, the next zone to really watch is 1846. That offers high odds CLVN for a reversal opportunity there. So we'll continue to watch this to see how it plays out. If we take a look at the intraday time frame, maybe I can give some guidance here heading into the overnight trade. This was a downtrending market throughout most of the session. We talked about how price was basically trending lower here, and any bounce off of 1903 could be seen as a solid opportunity to bring this thing back up. That's what we were looking for. Well, price dropped into our 1903 level and held on several defenses here, but after a while in the RT trading room here, we mentioned that we're likely going to see a failure at VWAP, and that's going to lead to a continuation back toward 1890, and that's exactly what occurred here. So we had 1890 on the docket here as a key level of where we could reach, and that's exactly where we saw it play out to. So you can see how the tide changed off that 1900 level. At first, it was an area to defend. And then once those buyers defending failed to get paid, especially after this failed new high here, the downside stops came out. A retest of the area was seen, and we saw a continuation into 1890. Just a solid move overall. So right now, the idea is to watch 1900 as a pivot. So any push back above 1900 likely squeezes this thing back toward 1921. Failure to see acceptance above 1900 opens up a downside continuation into the next downside target we offer today, which is the 1876 level, right in the zone, 1876. So we could be looking at much more weakness ahead. All right, let's take a look at crude oil. Here's crude oil in the daily time frame. This one has seen a very significant reversal, a big time move downward, and overall, it all came about from this 3303 level. As you recall, 3303 was our level, and I said above that zone squeezes toward 3525 with a shot to see a move into 3781. That was the analysis. Well, in that one morning, we saw a major squeeze into 34.82, and then from there, price immediately dropped back. And then the following session, price held above 33.03s, and basically had a digestion day there, and then boom, failed to hold that low price, and that has sparked a continuation back toward the previous week's low of 29.25. So it's been an aggressive selling spree here over the last two sessions, and now prices are dropping right into the zone here, where the last low was seen after these participants became trapped. So you saw the initial squeeze there, price pulled back, you saw buyers get a new high here. Now we're seeing a pullback into 29.25. That's going to be a very, very important level to watch there, as a defense could lead to a rotation back toward 33.43. Failure to hold above 29.25 opens up a big time test at 29.56 with a shot at seeing a continuation to the downside into 24.63. All right, looking at the intraday time frame here, you can see how this price action has been downtrending big time. The previous session's high now is now 30.68. That's going to be an important level to watch here. Any rotations likely into that level offer a big time selling opportunity down. Keep an eye on how prices react to this previous low at 29.81. Any pop back above that zone could spark a return back to this area. Okay, taking a look at GC. Here's GC and the uptrending market here. And we've nailed this one right on the money as well. We've been right on the money on gold this entire time. We started the year inside this December range. Great boundaries. When price started to break that range to the upside, we mentioned look for a continuation higher into certain targets. We got that initial burst higher, and when we pulled back, we were watching for a move in a certain zone here to identify for a bullish bounce. We saw that move occur off the 72s, and then from there we've seen a continuation. Inside day led to expansion, a pullback and a defense off those highs led to new highs. This thing has been playing out textbook. Solid saucer pattern or a cup and handle type of pattern. Either way, this thing is playing out phenomenally. We had bulls defending the previous week's high right there at 11.0990. That has since led to a continuation, and now we're targeting 11.3840 and 11.4155 on this first wave up to begin the week. Now, any failure to hold above 11.2280 right here, that's the new composite VPOC after the shift up. A failure to hold that level could spark a return all the way back to 10.98. Could be a quick move down. So this is going to be something to watch just very closely. Okay, taking a look at the NQ. Here's the NQ in a daily time frame. You see prices, big time high range activity here. The PivotBoss ADR, advanced ADR indicator, showing a lot of high range activity here, and then you start to see it taper off here. So you see all the high range days kind of boom, 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 boom come into effect here. And after you see that, you usually see a period of digestion, and that's what we're seeing now. A little quieter price action, and we saw price fail to hold above 42.26. That led to a move into 4,200, and that just continued down into 41.74. So right now, what we were looking for after this session formed was for a continuation into 43.40. That's been the call. We've had some lazy pullbacks that have been very steep, and we could continue to see that process as we get one final squeeze to cement that key range. But any failure to hold above 40.72 sparks new selling pressure into new lows, and that could be significant. So if you're a bull and you want to be patient, you're not in this move, 40.72 is a great spot to have a limit order waiting right there to see if that thing can fill for a shot at returning price to 42.81. Any squeeze back above 4,200 here opens up a shot at seeing a move into 43.1975 and 43.40. On an intraday basis, here's the intraday chart. This one right here trended lower for much of the session here, and this one was important because early on we were looking for prices to hold at 42.26. So that was the area to watch. We were watching 42.26 for a buying opportunity. We saw price come within one tick of that level and bounce back to VWAP. Once VWAP defended and price wasn't really getting any traction off that area, we shifted our bias to defending VWAP and looking for downside expansion into 41.96 to 41.98. That was our first target. And as you can see, price continued lower and even dropped into the Fed level of 41.96 and extended beyond it into 41.74. Very solid move overall. You can also see the retest that occurred after price went offered through 42.26. Dropped through it, came back, saw the retest, and boom, into new lows. So solid movement there. I say 4,200 right here. You can see how prices are coiling. Above 4,200 squeezes back to 42.46 in overnight. Failure to hold above 4,200 leads to new lows into the next downside targets. Right now, the next downside target to play to would be 41.30 and 41.03. All right, that's it for now. Let's see how this thing plays out heading into the rest of the week. Good luck and trade well.